Hello, everyone, and welcome to Family History of Zelicus, or Zellea, or no, Zeller, Zallea. Which is it? Well, maybe the answer to that question is just simply yes. So I'm going to take you through a jet tour of quick tour through the family history on the Zellea side. I'm going to focus in on some key family members from my tree line, from my direct line perspective, including Herman Zellea and his wife Fanny, and I'll touch on some others along the way. So after about 2 years of on and off research, acquiring different documents, taking different routes, piecing the information together was a lot of fun. It's also very challenging at times, but also rewarding. I'm a firm believer, as many of you may be, that knowing where we came from is a big part of who we are, right? And we want to pass that along. We may not have all the stories about, so-and-so used to play cards, or this person was kind of a lunatic, or whatever it may be, but at least we can share what we do have and pass that along. So with that, I'm going to, again, jump in. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so what you're looking at is Meyer Zelehac, or Zelehac, or Zelicus, as it's written here. So first of all, I'm going to start with Meyer. So Meyer, I don't know Meyer's wife's name, never been able to find that out. There are several logs which do list Meyer as being sort of the patriarch, but don't have a matriarch name, haven't been able to find that. So as you can see, the birth is Volyn, Russia. You're going to see certain town names or provinces pop up several times along the way. If we look at Volyn, Volyn was part of the Volhynia region. You can see on the right here, if I click on this map, this is the Volhynia region. You see Russia's over here to the far right. This is modern day. Russia's on the far right. At one point, this was all part of Russia. And you can see Poland on the far left. So you'll hear sometimes they'll say they're from, Rovna or Rivne or Wolnitz or Volinsk. All these, and they'll say either Russia, they'll say Poland, because it depends on really the year. But this region right here, you see Rivne in the middle. So this is the Volhynia, Volhynia, Volhynia region, and Rivne is in the center. And if you take a look at this, you can see that the government at the time, between 1885 and 1892, was divided into 12 districts, including, and I've got them listed here, and you'll see the word Rona or Rono listed. And you also see the word Volynsk or Volinsk, Russia, listed as well. So now let me jump back. Keep that all in mind. Volinsk, Rona, Russia, all part of the same province of Volhynia right here. All right, good. We're all on the same page? Wonderful. Back to the tree. Meyer is from Volyn, Russia. And you can see here I have a passenger listing of Bessie. So how many kids did Meyer have? How many children? Well, I know for sure he had these 4. I doubt there were any others. On most trees that I found out there, looking at, for example, the Breslin tree and a few others, there are not 4 kids, but there are less. And finding these was a bit of a challenge. But look at the last name. So you have Bessie, who is the firstborn of Meyer, and the last name that she took on was Bessie Bayer. And Bessie had, let me go ahead and click on that. Bessie had Harry Bayer, Clara, Sam, Jack, and Blanche, or Bluma. Now, Bluma Bayer had a child, and that child has been extremely helpful in this whole process, Harvey. So my mother would refer to Harvey often as her her cousin, right? And he is her cousin through Bluma, through Hyman, Meyer, and Bessie Seleucus, or Zellea. And let me go back to Meyer. We're going to get to the name thing in just a couple of minutes, but there's Bessie. And what was great was Harvey had provided me with some information. He said, well, there's Bluma, and that is my mother. I said, okay, great. And the last name was Meyer. So after some digging and some looking around, we're able to find this particular log right here. And let me go ahead and show you what we're looking at. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in now. So if you take a look, this is passengers sailing from Danzig, August 30th, 1920. And you can see the last name Bajcz. So here's Bluma, Yankiel, Basia, Joseph, Risha, and Risha, right? Now, where does the tie come in, right, with the Meyer last name of the father, and then Bessie Seleucus, or Zellea? Well, here's Bluma, here's Harvey's mother. And if I scroll to the right, take a look. Last permanent residence, Rona, Russia, or Rona, Poland. That's fine. Look at the parents, Meyer, Seleucus. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere, right? We've got a tie to Meyer, we've got a tie to Seleucus. So now we've got the right name. Let me double click, and I'm going to go to the second page of this particular log, which again, all these things tie together. They create a story. It helps you to prove out the information. So who was passage paid by self? And then if you take a look to the right, the husband of Bessie Seleucus is J-Man. Well, that's how they wrote it. It's Chaim Meyer. There's the name Meyer. So now we have a tie with the name Meyer, and we have a tie with the name Seleucus, or Zellea, coming in. So we have the right people. Fantastic. So if I shoot back to our family tree, this proves out Bessie is the child of Meyer. Now I'm going to skip Max for a second, and I'm going to take a look at Morris and Herman. So Herman is my great-grandfather, Herman Zellea. My grandfather was Samuel Zellea. Herman was married to Fanny Simon. We're going to get to the Simon piece in the second part of this, or towards the ending. Very interesting stuff going on over there. Morris actually was Herman's brother, and I've heard several stories, about Morris. Was visited. You can see also from Volyn, Russia. We've got different pieces of information like census documents. Here's his naturalization record, which ties in. Yes, he is the same Morris. And if I were to zoom out, well, let me scroll down here. You can say here's Morris Zallea with an A. Yeah, that may not be the best document to look at, but there are different documents here. The obituary. You can see a birth certificate of one of his children. You can see James, Saul, and Marion Zallea. I spoke with Barbara Zallea, who is an offshoot, I believe, of Saul, and Barbara has recently passed away. But anyway, Morris we know is a brother, and we've got all the proofs here on that. Now, if I go back once again, and we take a look at Herman Zellea. Actually, I'm going to skip Herman. Let's go to Max. So really interesting stuff here. Max had the name Zeller, or Zeller. So how this surfaced was Max married Jenny Simon. Now, I was able to get this information because I had a hit on my DNA, of all things, in Ancestry with a Max Zeller. Originally, I thought it was Jenny Simon. I saw the name Simon and thought this could be Fanny. This could be Fanny, and this could be a DNA hit with Fanny. But all Jenny Simons led to a dead end outside of her birth location, which also was Rona or Rovny, Russia. So that's the only tie. But Max Zeller was also in the DNA hit. It could have been either of them. And when I hunted this one down, you can see he's from Rona, Poland as well. And when I was trying to find a tie, how do I tie him in, if I can tie him in with the family? So one of the ways that happened was, and by the way, here's Jenny Zeller, and you can see Jenny. Let me zoom in. You can take a look at her naturalization document. Pretty cool stuff. She's from Novograd. There's Volinsk. Volinsk was one of those 12 regions in Volhynia. And Jenny was married to, Max Zeller. Max Zeller came over with the name of Zallea when he came over to the United States, down from Canada through Minnesota. So why does this matter? How are we able to make that tie come together? Well, let's take a look here. So this is the inspection memorandum of Max Zeller when he came into, I believe this is when he came into, this is about his immigration. This is his immigration service. But if you take a look at a couple of things on here, Max Zeller, his destination is 1217 South Turner Avenue in Chicago. Remember that, 1217 South Turner Avenue in Chicago. And he's going to see his brother. Can you see it down here? His brother Herman. Well, guess where Herman lived? Herman Zellea lived. That's right, 1217 South Turner Avenue. So he's going to see his brother Herman. We've got the tie there. We've got the name. We've got all the information. We have the same address. All of it ties together, the same location, Rona. There's his brother. Took the name Zeller. Interesting stuff. All right. So we've got Max Zeller, who changed his name to Zeller, marrying Jenny Simon. And they had 5 kids, of which had several other kids, and I've been in contact with a couple of them recently. So if I go back, and now we look at that tree again, it's Meyer with an unknown spouse having Bessie, Max, Morris, and then here's Herman, Herman Zellea. Now, a couple of other key fun pieces of information. We looked at this one here. If I minimize that, come on over and let's grab something else of fun here. Now let's look at Herman. Herman came in through Port Huron, Michigan. Also came in from Canada down through into Michigan. He was born in Rovna, Russia. He's a tailor, right? So far, here's June 3rd, 1908. Very cool stuff. Hebrew, Russian. He lived in Toronto for a little while. Look at his father's name. There's another confirmation of the name Meyer. So you have Bessie's log, right? When she came in, that's Herman's sister, Bessie. We looked at that before. It had the name Meyer listed as the father. And here's Herman also listing Meyer from Volyn, Russia. All right, now his fiance at the time is Fanny Simon, living in Chicago. And what is this money? How much money he had on him? Was that $4? I don't know what's going on there. Pretty cool stuff. There's some notes, things of that nature. So let me minimize that. And now we'll come over here and let's see what other cool stuff I can show you. So here's Herman. Here he is, his birthday, May 15th, 1883. Here's a registration card. This is for which war? Well, how old is he on this sheet? That'll tell us quite a bit. I don't see it. He's married to Fanny, so this must be World War I, right? Because Fanny, she died in 1929. So this is a World War I registration card. Pretty cool stuff. Let me go ahead and get rid of that one. Come on back. See if there's anything else I'd like to show you before we dig in a bit further. So the name, well, here it is. For the naturalization service for Herman, when he was naturalized, see the name Zelehac was his previous family name. And then he lists the name Zellea, which he ended up being Zellea, that he utilized while in the United States. Excellent. And this one is the registration card for World War II. At this point, Fanny is not in the picture. And here's Herman. He's now 56 years old. You can see in the center. He's from Russia, unemployed. It says unemployed at this point as a tailor. Not sure exactly what was going on there. All right. Something else. This is a 1930 log, right? You can see this is a 1930 log. What's interesting about this, so Herman's wife, Fanny, was hit by a car, and she was killed by on a hit and run. We know that. And that was in March of 1929. On the 1930 log, it appears that Martin Zellea, you can see here, he's a lodger. He's lodging with the Sinmans, A. Sinman and Minnie Sinman. These names showed up before as well on the naturalization paperwork as kind of witnesses. So these are obviously close friends of Herman. And by 1930, this looks like just fresh off of his mother passing away, being hit by a car. Martin is not living with Herman. He's living with some friends. I don't know how long that lasted, but it's just interesting. You can see here to the right, Martin is 7 years old. Illinois, he lives, yep, he's from Russia. His mom and his dad are from Russia. There's not a whole heck of a lot of additional information there. Just interesting. Thought I'd share that, pass it along. What other things can I share before we go into Fanny? I think I had something else I wanted to show. Just trying to find my pictures here. Coming in through Port Huron. This is just a closer look into the Canada to US. You know, when Herman came in, you can see he's going to see, so if I zoom in a little bit, got it highlighted. He's going to see his fiancée, Fanny Simon, 214, the Corn Street, Chicago. Where are they from? Where's he from? From Rovna, Russia. All these different things tie together. So really interesting stuff. So that's Herman, Morris, Max, and Bessie. Now, Herman's wife. So let's look at Fanny now. Okay, so we know Fanny was married to Herman Zellea. We know some things about Fanny. We know she was hit by a car in 1929, in March of 1929. And I can pull up an image of that for you. You can take a look. Here's the case number out of Chicago, 11447. She was killed at Lawndale and Douglas Boulevard by an automobile which escaped identification. And then there's some information about her here. I mean, we could zoom in on that. March 10th, 1929. Immediate death occurred at the crime scene, Lawndale and Douglas. She was on the street walking, or sidewalk walking into the street, hit by a car. She's 45 years old. Just awful stuff, right? There we go. So this brings us to Fanny Ullman. What can I tell you? It's not Fanny Simon, as you can see here. Fanny did go under the name Simon when she was married. On her marriage certificate, which I have a picture of here. Boom. And 20 August 1908, you can see her name is Miss Fanny Simon. But her name is actually Fanny Ullman. So how did we get to this? How do you go from Simon to Ullman? Well, it starts with a couple of things. It starts with a discussion that I had with Marty Zellea, my Uncle Marty. And this is before he had passed away. And I took down some notes. Marty said Fanny was 100% Russian Jew from Kiev, Russia. And he also said her name could have been Ovian, Onion, Ovu, or Onyu originally. So remember that. Kiev, Russia, and Ovian, or Onion. All right, let me come back to the tree. So I was hitting a dead end. I couldn't find a social security index. I couldn't find anything really that would definitively tell me what Fanny's last name originally was, until I called the cemetery where she was buried just to get a little more information around maybe the graves that were around her. Not uncommon to be buried with family members. So when I did that, they told me that her name was actually Fanny Zeller. Well, I said, no, I'm looking at the tombstone online, the headstone, and it says Fanny Zellea. Anyway, it didn't matter. What mattered was they said the name Zeller. Then I went back and did a search on Fanny Zeller with all the other criteria already entered, date of death and things like that. What came back, well, that was quite interesting. So let me show you what came back. And this is the death index, right? So this is the death certificate information. I have the original death certificate information here now. I ended up ordering it, but you can see Fanny Zeller from Zvev, Russia. Uh-oh, that's a typo. There is no Zvev, Russia. From Kiev, Russia. Same date of death as the automobile accident, 10 March. And on the actual documentation, it talks about an automobile accident, hit and run, and pretty interesting stuff. So this is definitely the right Fanny. And we can see her name is Fanny Ullman. Now take a look at her father's name, Simon Ullman. So this is where Simon comes from. Her father's first name was Simon. His last name was Ullman. She took his first name as her last name. You can see it's Ullman with one L, but I saw it listed elsewhere with two L's, so it could be one or two. We know the name is Ullman, so it's Fanny Ullman. The other piece of new information here is we have now her mother's name, which is Dora Bargetskin, which is excellent, also from Kiev, Russia. So the next time I'm on a flight and I go to Kiev, I'll be able to go ahead and look up the information. Probably not going to happen. Okay, moving on. So thank you. That mystery is solved. Much appreciated. And so with that, let me go ahead and just quickly close this jet tour. So what we talked about today are all the different names, all the different Zellea, Zellers of the world. Let's see, we've got Herman Zellea, who married Fanny, and Herman's brothers were Max and Morris Zellea and Max Zeller, and his sister was Bessie Zelehac, who ended up getting married, and his name was Meyer, and the father of all was Meyer Zelehac, or Zelehac, as it was originally written down. Oi, who can keep up with all this? Anyway, that was my best impression. I bid you all adieu. I hope you have a fantastic night and a fantastic life. Be well.